Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about methods of gene transfer in plants. So this particular topic, which will be in recombinant DNA technology and mainly used for applications of recombinant DNA technology in plants. So here we have introduction. So introduction will have the basic information about how the gene transfer which is working. So if you say simply the technique which will be used to transfer the genes in efficient and stable way to the host cells. Okay, so that is in the form of introduction of foreign genes into the genome of target cells. So these methods can be classified into two types. One is the direct method, another one is the indirect method. So that is the agrobacterium mediated gene transfer. So if you see the direct gene transfer, which have lot of DNA, that is large quantity of DNA will be used, and that particular amount DNA can be easily transferred to the plant cells, that is continuously. Okay. So that transfer can be enabled by particle gun bombardment, electroporation, ultrasound, and some more. And if you see the efficiency, the gene transfer, which is done by this physical method or the direct method, can be done in cereal crops, that is monocotyledonous and dicotyledonous crops. If you see the agrobacterium mediated gene transfer, where the agrobacterium will be used as the vector, and through that we can induce some kind of transfer into the plants. So here we have general approaches for genetic engineering in plants. And if you see, there are like steps we have. So here, the first one, the introduction of genes into the cells that is concerned for the plant species. And next point, we have integration of the particular genes into the nuclear or organelle genome of plant cells. And what it is integrated, and which will be moved to the next step, that is the expression of transfer gene in the new genetic background. And the fourth one, we have regeneration of whole plants from the genetically modified cells. And also the fifth one, we have transmission of transfer gene to the sexual progeny of those plants. So here we have the general information about how many methods will be used for the plant transformations. So here they have categorized into three types. The first one physical, and second one chemical, and third one biological. The first one we have microinjection, pressure, biolistic, or the gene gun, particle gun bombardment, and electroporation, silica, carbon fibers, and laser mediated gene transfer. So if you see the chemical based methods, there we have polyethylene glycol, calcium, phosphate, and artificial lipids, proteins based, and dendrimers based chemical transfer methods. At last, we have biological based plant transformation methods. The important organisms are like agrobacterium tumefaciens, rhizogenes, and viral mediated vector system. And here we have the first one from the physical methods. The first method, that is the electroporation. So here these plant cell, by exposing them for very short period in the voltage, that is a high voltage electric pulses. So this high voltage, which will enable the pores to open in the membrane, once it is enabled through plasma lemma, the foreign material or vector system will try to get into that. So here we have two systems. There is the first one low voltage and very longer period of exposure. That is the 30 to 40 voltage per centimeter for 10 to 50 milliseconds. If you consider another method, high voltage and short pulse method, there we have 1000 to 1500 voltage per centimeter. It's about 10 microseconds. And this particular second method, second system, which is frequently used, and also the transfer rate is very higher when you are comparing with the first method, that is the low voltage. And also this one is very stable. And here we have the transformation frequency are increased several fold by the important parameters like the heat shock to the protoplast, that is in the form of electroporation 5 minutes at 45 degrees Celsius. This also will have much impact than comparing with the others. And if you see the other one, the presence of low concentration of polyethylene glycol, that is the 80%, which can be very efficient for the electroporation for gene transfer. So here we have steps. So if you see the steps, the culture, so that is the host cells. So here you can able to see that the culture cells, and here the vector molecule, that is the gene of interest, and this gene has been incorporated with the vector molecule. So here we have the selectable marker, and also you will have the origin of application, and this particular vector molecule will try to mix with the host cells. Okay, so here we have it. So once we mixed it, and then you'll be applying your electroporation, that is the electric pulse based on the different concentration. Concentration means the volume, how much voltage you are going to give. So in that case, so it can be very shorter or very longer time, and also very high voltage and low voltage. So based on these different cases, so this foreign vector molecule can be easily penetrate the host cells, and through that which will try to bind with the host cell genome. So here you can able to see that the applying voltage, and this applying of voltage will make lots of pores here. So here you have the pores, and through that the foreign material can be easily uptaken by the host cells. Once it is done, and now you have the complete rDNA molecule into the host cells. So after that, so it'll be going for selections, and so they through that you can easily confirm stable expression and transient expression. So here we have the advantage for electroporation. First one, some plants are very PEG sensitivity. So electroporation may be chosen method for its efficient transfer, and also very low cost and high percentage of transfer rate if you consider the electroporation along with the polyethylene glycol. And if you see the applications, so it is mainly used to produce stable transformed cell lines, and also this have been applied the plants like tobacco, maize, rice, wheat. In tobacco, the frequency very higher as 2 to 8% in the presence of 7% PEG. So here we have the next method, microinjection. So this microinjection is the method tried for artificial gene transfer to cereal plants. So due to its instability nature, and it is developed into it's again it has been further improved, and then it has much more efficiency comparing with the earlier one, and after that it enables the transformations process. And if you see the micro injections, the solution would be around 0.3 ml, that is the 300 microliter of DNA, that is the vector molecule, will be injected into the cells or the nodes of the plants. And once the injections and the timing is very important, and it should be 14 days before the meiosis. So meiosis and metaphase are the very important duration. So in the time we have to select it, and so we need to avoid that, and avoiding the meiosis and other divisions, and through that the cells will have much more interactive nature with the host and foreign material, and finally it will have much more integration, and it will become the complete recombinant molecules. And this method has been successfully tried it out in different cells and also protoplast of tobacco and alphala. So these are the few plants they have tried it in earlier times. And also the tips nature, which can be 0.5 to 1 micrometer in diameter, and also there will be a glass needles or the micropipette will be used. And here we have this method gene transfer is used to introduce DNA into the large cells, normally performed under specialized optical microscope setup called micromanipulator. And if you see the process frequently used as a vector in genetic engineering and transgenetic to insert genetic material into the single cells. And this entire process can be easily controlled with computer, that is the computerized controls, and through that you can be able to have control over the pipette, needle, microscopic stage, and video technology. So this all features have been improved consecutively for after developing this micro injections, and after that it has been integrated with all this technology, and then this particular method which became very efficient comparing with the other methods. And the process is very applicable, that is the micro injection process, very applicable for the both plant and animal cells. And so this technique, which is mainly used for the animal transgenic animals productions. Okay, so in earlier cases you might have heard of fertilizations like artificial inseminations, in vitro fertilization, that is the in vitro fertilization, IVF. So those techniques which follows those experiment which needs this micro injection method for transfer of its molecule to the that is the sperm to the zygote, the egg cell. So if you see the procedure, which is very important for gene transfer to the embryonic cells, and also apply to inject the DNA into plant nuclei, and which is mainly used in the Brachysa, alphala, and tobacco. This we have already seen it, and here we have the picture. So here you can able to see the microinjection and nucleus and DNA solutions. And here we have advantage and limitation of microinjection. The advantage here you can able to see that the technique which does not require any protoplast, and if you see the advantage, some more advantages, instrument will be very simple and cheap. This method is very ideal for serials transformations, and also this technique is very simple, like earlier point, and the frequency of stable integrations can be done very easily, and comparing the other method which is very stable, and the method is very effective comparing with the other methods also, and also the DNA which is injected in this process, which is subjected to less extensive modifications. So this particular DNA, the method, whatever which is injecting, so that particular material which undergoes very less amount of modification. If you see the limitation, here we have less specific, less efficient, frequency of transformation is very low, and skill personnel required and more useful for animal cells, and embryonic cells are preferred for mainly manipulations, and knowledge of, like, there is the information about the mating time and oocyte recovery is very essential here, and the method is very useful for protoplast and not for all wall cells. So here we have the next one, ballistic or the microprojectile for DNA transfer. So this ballistic, the other name will be calling it as the particle gun bombardment. So this is the one of the physical method which uses and accelerates the microprojectile to deliver the DNA to the intact tissue or the cells. So this is the simplest method of direct introduction of therapeutic DNA to the target cells. And also the effectiveness is very higher among all the direct gene transfer methods. And so this method was developed during 1987 by John Stanford at Cornell University. So this method, which was mainly used in earlier cases to produce a lot of genetically modified crops, especially for the maize containing BT gene. And and also there is this method which avoids the need of protoplasm. So in this case, the transfer which will be very efficient comparing with the others. And also here you can able to see that the plant cells which have the root section and also embryo, seeds, pollens can be utilized for gene transfer. So here we have a gene gun device that is literally fires the DNA into the target cells. And also this DNA molecule or the vector molecules which will be coated, and so the coated particle will be put into the beads, and this beads which is in the form of gold or tungsten, and this beads will be utilized for targeting the intact tissue or the cells. And here we have the explosive forces fires which bullet down, and through that which will directly into the barrel into the cells. And if you see the this bullet barrels which will try to reach the end of the barrel and caught and will be stopped, and through that which also can be DNA coated beads and to continue towards the target cells. And next you will be having the beads which will be passing through the cell walls to the cytoplasm of target cells, and again you will have the bead. So this will be the bead and the DNA which will be dissociated once if it is went inside the cells. That is in form of transformed. If it is a transform, the bead will be dissociated from the DNA molecules. So after that, so the integration part will be happening, and then it will be taken to the next level, that is the expression. And here you have types of guns used, like helium powered and gun powered, and handheld versus standalone, and also helium pressure. And the pressure could be very important for this ballistic methods. And this is the typical picture. So this will indicate us how the transfer which is occurring in the cells. So here you can able to see that before firing, this is the place, this is the restraining membrane, and here you have helium gases and plunger and gas vent. So this is the gas vent. So this is the Kaplan disc. So this is the Kaplan disc. Here you can able to see that. And again, so this is the stopping screen. At last, you will have the tissue. So here, once if you have started to fire it, and so here, so through this, it will started to move. So which will cross the restraining membrane, and then which move towards the stopping screen, and then which will try to reach us the tissue. So here we have the important things like gold or tungsten beads, which will be used as the microcarrier, and also which will be prepared, that is pre-treated with the ethanol and sterile distilled water. And so this suspension of microarrays can be stored at 4 degrees Celsius for gold, and for -20 for the tungsten. And the microprojectile or microcarrier size would be around 2.5 centimeter diameter, and the thickness would be 0.06 millimeter. And if you see the microprojectile or microparticle, so which would be around 0.5 to 2 micrometer made up of tungsten or gold filaments. And here we have gold particles, and which are mainly uniform. The size could be ranges from 1 to 3 micrometer, and also which is very less toxic. So that's why they showed very consistent performance in the microcarriers. And also the plasmids which will be attached to the microcarrier, that is the gold nanoparticles, the gold particles. By mixing with both the plasmid and gold particles, in 2.5 molar liter of calcium chloride and 0.1 molar liter of spermidine, that is the polyamine. So these chemicals which enable the plasmids and the gold particle to have much more interaction among them. And the microarray, that is the microcarrier particle, whichever is remained unintegrated, which will be washed with the ethanol, and finally which will be resuspended in the ethanol. And this microcarrier is then applied to the microcarrier membrane. So here you have the exact ballistic can, how it is working. The DNA is bound to the microprojectile, which impact the tissue or the immobilized cells at high speeds. And here we have the firing pin and a blank charge and the microprojectile. So here you can able to see that microprojectile and nylon projectile. And here we have the bends, and this is the target tissue and plate to start the microprojectile. So this is the complete diagrammatic representation and promoter for plant expression and clone gene. Here you have the clone gene and bacterial sequences, and so this entire sequence will have tungsten microparticles, and which have the affinity towards each other, and this will be in the vials, and these vials will be loading into the instruments, particle gun compartment instruments, and then firing pin and blank charges. So here you have the microparticles. So these microparticles will be fired with uses of plastic bullet. So this should be microparticles into the plant cells. So here you can able to see that plant cells. So this bullet which will try to push the microparticles into the plant tissues. So here you can able to see that. So the gun, that is the plastic bullet, will be hold in the particle gun compartment. Only the microparticles alone which will reach us to the plant cells. So here you can able to see that. So this cells which contains a small microparticle which was transferred by this particle gun compartment. So if you see the advantages and limitation of biolistic, the advantages, here we have the requirement of protoplasm can be avoided, so only the cells can be utilized, and walled intact cells can be easily penetrated by using this method, and also the manipulation of genome of subcellular organelles can be easily achieved. And if you see the limitation, here we have shallow penetration of particles and associated cell damage, and the inability to deliver the DNA systematically, and tissue to incorporate the DNA must be able to regenerate, and the equipment itself is very expensive. So here we have the general applications of biolistic. So if you see the general applications, the biolistic can be utilized to transform in different plants like soybean, cotton, spruce, sugarcane, papaya, and sunflower, rice, maize, wheat, tobacco. So these are the plants have been utilized this biolistic technique. And also the genome of subcellular organelles also can be easily manipulated by this biolistic method. And you have the method can be applied to the filamentous fungi, and also in yeast, especially the mitochondrial genome also can be easily altered through this method. And so this particle gun also method can be also been used in the pollen and the early stages of the embryoids and meristems and somatic embryos. So these are the few case studies have been done it on the different plants. So here we have the next direct method, that is the liposome mediated gene transfer. So these liposomes are space of lipids which can be used to transport the molecule into the cells. So that's why the name call it as the lipofications. So the lipofications again, which consider the space of lipid bilayer surrounding the molecule to be transported into the plant cells or any target tissue. And the liposomes are basically negatively in charge, and so this negatively charged will have the interactions with positively charged cell membrane. And the cationic liposomes can be produced from the members of cationic lipids, that is the DOTAP and DOTMA. And this liposomes mediated gene transfer are the liposomes which is commercially available, which is sold as the in vitro transfecting agent, that is the lipofectin. And also these liposomes are ready to add it to the target cell, so we need not do any pre-treatment method. And also there we have germline transgenesis also very possible by using this liposome mediated gene transfer. So here we have the advantages. So if you see the advantages, simplicity, long-term stability, low toxicity, and protection of nucleic acids from the degradations. So here you can able to see that the lipid solutions and the DNA molecules the mixed molecules will have the complex like this. So the complex that is the DNA, around that you will have the lipid bilayer, and the DNA is encapsulated inside the liposomes, and liposomes which will be try to adhere with the cells, host cells, once it is adhered, and which will have the contact with membrane, and through membrane it will try to enter the cytoplasm, and through cytoplasm it will reach us to the nucleus, and there it will have interaction, and finally it will become the transformed cells. So this is the next method, polyethylene glycol mediated translocations. So this polyethylene glycol mediated transfer methods which utilize for only protoplasm, not the walled cells. So polyethylene glycol which stimulate the endocytosis, therefore the DNA uptake will be easily enabled. And the protoplasm are kept in the solution containing polyethylene glycol, and the calcium chloride also added sucrose and glucose, which is acting as the osmotic buffering agent. And after this exposure of protoplasm to the exogenous DNA in the presence of PEG and other chemicals like calcium chloride and sucrose and glucose molecules, after that the PEG will be removed, and then the surviving protoplasm cells which will be cultured, and then the colonies will be forming. After several passages, the selectable medium frequency of transformation is calculated, and through that we will be obtaining transformed cells. And this method is very less toxic containing method. So in few cases, this method was a preferable method for gene transfer. And also it is more resistant to the non-specific protein absorption. And so this is one of the alternative method for gene transfer. And also instead of using the viral based gene vectors, so this chemical based vectors, that is the transfer method, will be utilized in many applications if you consider the plant's transgenic effect. So here we have the flow, how which is working. So plant protoplasm are suspended or suspected in the transformation medium rich in the magnesium ions, and then linearize the plasmid DNA containing gene construct. And so this can be added to the protoplasm suspension, and 20% PEG will be added, and which will become 8, and give a heat shock for 5 minutes at 45 degrees Celsius, and transfer in the ice. Once it is transferred, and it is completely done its job. And now we have the DNA transfer by DAE dextrose method, and this DNA that is the foreign material can be easily transferred with the help of DAE dextrine. And also this medium is widely used in the transcription based methods, and this is the nature of polycationic, which will be very high molecular weight substance and convenient for transient assays in co-cells. And also this does not have much efficient for the productions of stable transfectants, and still it have some more effect, and the efficiency to produce can able to produce the sufficient quantity of transformed products. And also the DAE dextrine treatment is coupled with the dimethyl sulfoxide, that is the DMS post shock, and then which will be around 80% of transformed cell can be expressed in transferred gene. And the stable expression also can be possible, and also the difficulty with stable expression is it's a little bit complicated here due to its nature. And treatment with chloroquine, which increases the transient expression in DNA even in the same method. The advantage of method is very cheaper and simple, and can be used for the transient cells which can't be survived even in sharp exposure of calcium phosphate. Next method we have a calcium phosphate mediated gene transfer. So this calcium phosphate mediated gene transfer, which have mixture of isolated DNA, this is about 10 to 100 microgram with calcium chloride and also with the potassium phosphate under conditions which make a precipitate of calcium phosphate, which will be very useful for transferring the DNA to the host cells. These cells then again can be incubated with the precipitated DNA either in the form of solution, that is solution, or in tissue culture disc, and through that calcium phosphate, which precipitate the DNA by endocytosis mechanisms. And if you see the concentrations, there is the concentration and also the efficiency. The efficiency by using calcium phosphate, which can be very quite low, comparing with the other method, which is ranges about 1 to 2%. And this efficiency can be increased with the high purity DNA in the experiment. If you see the limitation of calcium phosphate mediated gene transfer, the frequency is very low, and the integrated genes undergoes substantial modifications, and many cells which do not have solid precipitate adhering to the membrane and also the surface of the other culture cells. And due to their limitation, transfection applied to the only somatic gene transfer therapy is limited. And if you see the picture here, the precipitation of DNA onto the animal cells, here we have calcium phosphate, this calcium phosphate solution, and DNA which is precipitate on the cell surface, and the bottom on the cell surface, like you will have the monolayer of cells. Here these are the monolayers, so these are the DNA precipitate on the cell membrane. So this is the last biological gene transfer methods. The introduction to the agrobacteria, that is the agrobacterium mediated gene transfer method. The agrobacterium, which is basically rod-shaped and gram-active and motile soil bacterium, and this is the one of the very natural genetic engineer. There are two specific species from agrobacterium. There is the agrobacterium tumefaciens, agrobacterium rhizogenes. These tumefaciens, which produce a called gall diseases, and whereas the rhizogenes, which produces the root-based diseases. The crown gall disease, which is economically very important disease for many plants, especially for the grapes, walnut, apples, and rose. And diseases which is producing by agrobacterium are highly pathogenic and do not benefit the plants. And the agrobacterium can be infect the plants at the wound site, and cause the disease symptoms. And it is attracted to the wound site via chemotoxic chemical responses, and this response chemicals will have sugar phenolic molecules which will be released from the damaged plant cells. And again, you have crown gall formation, which depends on the presence of TA plasmids in the bacterium. And this TA plasmids, again, we'll be calling it as the tumor-inducing plasmids. Or in the another form, you have the tDNA. So this tDNA, which is in the TA plasmid, which will have interact with the foreign DNA molecules, and once it is have interactions, and then it will be transferred between host plants, any type of plants. And tDNA, which carries the gene which involved in the biosynthesis of hormones, that is the auxin and cytokinin. So based on the auxin and cytokinin quantity and the expression level, which enables the growth of shoot or root part of the plants. And biosynthesis of novel plant metabolites, that is the opines and the agropines, are synthesized through this auxin and cytokinin hormones. The production of auxin and cytokinin causes the plant cells to proliferate, and also which can cause some kind of calcone diseases. And if you see the proliferation cells produces opines, that is the amino acid based components, that is the derived components. And also if you see the other component name called agropines, which is derived from the sugar derivatives. And so this we is very agrobacterium plumipeciens as a carbon and the energy sources. And here we have the cellular process of agrobacterium host interactions. The cellular process, here you can able to see that how the cells which looks like cell to cell regulation, and here you have the tDNA from TA plasmids, and this DNA will be DNA packing, and so these are the virion genes which is found in the tDNA. Different genes will be present in the tDNA, tDNA DNA molecules. And whereas the another case here, you have the intracellular transport, the formation of agrobacterium pilus for transport of T complex of the T host cells. And also the green color, which indicates the nuclear import and nuclear import of T strand, that is the tDNA. And here you can able to see the picture here, and integration of T plasmid and gene expression which happens, and through that here you can able to see that tumor formation following the integration of T.